Have you ever felt like your brain is actually working against you? You spend months studying, you learn all the rules, and you practice until you are tired. But the moment you need to perform, your mind freezes. You start worrying about every single word, every small mistake, and suddenly you can't say anything at all. This is the overthinking trap. And it is the #1 reason why many talented people never reach their full potential. But what if I told you that the secret to mastery isn't thinking harder, but actually learning how to think less? In this video, we are going to do something different. We have a massive, continuous passage designed specifically for deep shadowing practice. We are going to train your brain to stop overanalyzing and start acting. This isn't just about English. It is about retraining your mind to enter a state of flow, where everything feels easy and automatic. I want you to stop worrying about being perfect and just follow the sound of my voice. We are going to push through the wall of overthinking together. By the time we reach the end of this session, you won't just be better at English. You will have the mental keys to master any skill in the world. So, are you ready to get out of your own head and start your journey to true mastery? Let's begin right now. Mastering a new skill often feels like trying to navigate a dense fog where every step forward is clouded by 1,000 different questions and the constant fear of making a mistake. Most people believe that the key to excellence is thinking harder, analyzing more deeply, and planning every single move with clinical precision. But the reality of high performance is often the exact opposite. When you look at an expert musician, a professional athlete, or a fluent speaker of a second language, you are not seeing someone who is thinking about the rules in real time. You are seeing someone who has moved beyond the need for conscious thought. This transition from thinking to doing is the most critical hurdle for any learner at the intermediate level because the brain has a limited capacity for processing information. If you fill your mind with worries about grammar, technique, or potential failures, you leave no room for the natural flow of action that allows for true mastery. To master something without overthinking, you must first accept that your brain is like a muscle that can become exhausted if you force it to carry too much weight at once. Overthinking is essentially a form of mental friction that slows down your progress and makes the process of learning feel much more difficult than it actually needs to be. The secret lies in a concept called deliberate practice, which involves breaking a skill down into its smallest possible components and repeating them until they become automatic. When a movement or a thought process becomes automatic, it moves from the conscious part of your brain to the subconscious, where it can be executed without any effort or anxiety. Imagine you are learning to drive a car for the first time. In the beginning, you are hyper-aware of your hands on the wheel, the pressure of your foot on the pedal, and the many mirrors you must check. You are overthinking because you have to, as the skill is still new. However, after a few months, you find yourself arriving at your destination without remembering every single turn or gear shift. This is because you have mastered the mechanics to the point where they no longer require your active attention. The goal of mastering any B1 level skill is to reach this state of flow as quickly as possible by reducing the noise in your head. One of the biggest obstacles to this flow is the desire for perfection, which is often just a polite word for the fear of being judged. When you allow yourself to make mistakes without pausing to analyze them for 20 minutes, you are actually learning faster than the person who tries to be perfect. You must view mistakes not as evidence of failure, but as data points that help your subconscious mind adjust its strategy. If you spend your time worrying about whether you sound smart or whether your technique is flawless, you are putting a leash on your own potential. To break this cycle, you should set clear, simple goals for each practice session that focus on consistency rather than complexity. Instead of saying you want to be a master by the end of the week, tell yourself that you will simply show up and perform the task for 20 minutes without stopping to check your progress. This creates a safe space for your mind to experiment and find its own rhythm. Another effective strategy is to use the power of imitation, which is how humans have learned almost everything since the beginning of time. By watching someone who is already a master and trying to mirror their movements or their tone, you bypass the analytical part of your brain and tap into your natural ability to absorb patterns. This is why shadowing is such a powerful tool for language learners. It forces you to keep up with a native pace, leaving you no time to overthink the individual words. You are training your ears and your vocal cords to work together as a unit, creating a physical memory that is far more durable than a list of memorized rules. As you continue this journey, you will notice that the moments when you perform best are the moments when you aren't really thinking at all. You are just present in the moment, responding to the task with a sense of ease and confidence. This doesn't mean you aren't using your brain. It means you are using it in a way that is efficient and harmonious. True mastery is the art of knowing when to let go and trust the training you have put in. It is about realizing that your mind is a powerful tool, but it can also be a cage if you let it overanalyze every detail. By focusing on the process rather than the result, by embracing the messy middle of learning, and by trusting your ability to adapt, you can master any skill with a sense of peace and clarity that makes the journey just as rewarding as the destination itself. The process of learning is often compared to a spiral, where you return to the same concepts over and over, but each time with a deeper level of understanding and a lighter mental load. In the early stages of reaching a B1 level, everything feels heavy because the connections in your brain are still thin and fragile. Overthinking is the mind's way of trying to protect itself from the discomfort of being a beginner, but this protection eventually becomes a barrier. If you want to move from an intermediate level to a state of mastery, you have to learn how to quiet the inner critic that demands constant updates on your status. This critic is usually interested in comparing your current performance to an imagined ideal, which is the fastest way to kill motivation and trigger a spiral of overanalysis. Instead of listening to that voice, you should focus on the physical sensations of the task. Whether you are playing an instrument, learning a sport, or practicing a language, pay attention to the rhythm and the feeling of the movements. When you shift your focus from "am I doing this right" to "how does this feel," you are shifting from an external judgmental perspective to an internal experiential one. This shift is essential for mastering the nuances of any skill. Mastery is not about knowing everything. It is about being able to use what you know without hesitation. Think about a professional chef who can chop vegetables with incredible speed while holding a conversation. They are not thinking about the angle of the knife or the thickness of the slices. Their hands know what to do because they have repeated the motion thousands of times. The overthinking phase was completed long ago, and now they are operating in a state of pure execution. You can reach this level too if you are willing to endure the period of time where you feel clumsy and uncertain. The key is to keep moving forward despite that feeling. If you stop every time you feel unsure, you never give your brain the chance to build the momentum necessary for automaticity. It is better to practice for 10 minutes every day with a relaxed mind than to practice for 2 hours once a week with a stressed mind. Consistency builds the neural pathways that eventually make the skill feel like a natural part of who you are. Moreover, you must learn to simplify your environment and your instructions. We often overthink because we provide ourselves with too many choices or too much information at once. If you are trying to learn a language, don't try to learn every single grammar rule in one sitting. Pick one small pattern and use it until it feels easy. By narrowing your focus, you reduce the opportunities for your brain to get distracted or overwhelmed. This is the essence of mastering without overthinking. You limit the scope of your conscious thought so that your subconscious can take over the heavy lifting. Eventually, you will find that the things that used to scare you or make you freeze up are now things you do without even realizing it. You will find yourself speaking with a natural cadence, moving with grace, and solving problems with an intuition that feels almost like magic. But it isn't magic. It is the result of a disciplined commitment to staying out of your own way. The path to mastery is paved with the courage to be imperfect and the wisdom to trust the process. When you stop trying to control every outcome, you open the door to a level of performance you never thought possible. You become a participant in your own growth rather than a spectator of your own mistakes. This freedom is the ultimate goal of any learner, and it is accessible to anyone who is willing to stop thinking and start doing. As you move deeper into your practice, you will discover that the mind has a natural tendency to wander toward the future or the past. You might think about how long it will take to reach the next level, or you might regret a mistake you made 5 minutes ago. Both of these thoughts are forms of overthinking that pull you away from the present moment where the actual learning happens. To combat this, you can use the technique of grounding, which means bringing your full attention back to the task at hand. If you are shadowing a passage like this one, notice the sound of the words, the vibration in your chest, and the way your breath supports your speech. By focusing on these physical realities, you leave no room for the abstract worries that cause overthinking. This is a form of active meditation that turns a simple practice session into a powerful exercise in mindfulness. Mastery is as much a mental game as it is a physical or intellectual one. The people who excel are those who can maintain their focus under pressure and stay calm when things go wrong. They understand that overthinking is a trap that leads to paralysis by analysis, where you become so worried about making the wrong choice that you make no choice at all. In the world of learning, a wrong choice is often better than no choice because it provides feedback, whereas inaction provides nothing. Therefore, you should cultivate a sense of curiosity rather than a sense of judgment. When something doesn't go as planned, ask yourself, "That's interesting, why did that happen?" instead of, "Why am I so bad at this?" This simple change in language can transform your learning experience from a chore into an adventure. Over time, this curiosity will lead you to a deeper understanding of the mechanics behind your skill, but it will be an understanding born of experience rather than one born of dry study. You will start to see patterns and connections that you never noticed before because your mind is open and relaxed. This is the level where true creativity begins. When you are no longer worried about the basics, you can start to play with the skill and make it your own. You can add your own personality to your speech, your own style to your work, and your own unique perspective to every challenge you face. This is the highest form of mastery, the point where the skill becomes an extension of yourself. It is no longer something you do, it is a part of who you are. To get there, you must be patient and kind to yourself. Mastery is a marathon, not a sprint, and there will be days when you feel like you are moving backward. On those days, remember that even a small amount of focused practice is better than nothing. The goal is to keep the flame of interest alive without letting the smoke of overthinking extinguish it. Trust that your brain is working for you even when it doesn't feel like it. Trust that the repetitions are building a foundation that will eventually support a great structure of knowledge and ability. Keep your head down, keep your heart open, and keep moving one step at a time. The fog will eventually clear, and you will find yourself standing on the peak of mastery, looking back at how far you have come with a sense of pride and a quiet mind. We have made it to the end of this massive practice session, and I am so proud of you for staying focused through every single word. Most people would have stopped after 5 minutes, but you pushed through the mental fog and kept going, which is exactly how mastery is built. I hope you can feel that the more you spoke, the easier it became to stop worrying about the individual sounds and start feeling the rhythm of the language. This is the secret that all experts know. The magic happens when you finally trust yourself enough to get out of your own way. If you enjoyed this session, make sure to save this video and come back to it whenever you feel that inner critic starting to get too loud again. Remember that mastery is a journey of 1,000 small steps, and you just took a very big one today. Keep practicing, keep staying curious, and most importantly, keep being kind to yourself as you learn. Thank you so much for watching and for practicing with me today, and I will see you in the next video.